Hello, welcome to Her Journey Home. I'm your host, Sophia Noel Graniella. My mission here is simple: to hold space for honest stories and conversations that are usually left unsaid. This podcast is for the women in seasons of becoming, rebuilding their lives, reclaiming their voice, and remembering who they were before the world told them who to be. So come as you are, and let's begin the journey home together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Her Journey Home. I am coming at you today from my cute little living room setup here in Austin, Texas. And it's really funny. Before I sat down for this episode, I thought to myself, I really want to start recording in a podcast studio. That's like that next level identity. And then I recognized that I'm a manifesting generator. That's my human design. If you know, you know. And there are times where I just get intuitive downloads and hits, and I need to sit down and have a conversation immediately. And if I'm recording in a podcast studio, it doesn't really give me that space to be able to just channel and speak and get that message out that's on my heart. So I'm going to see how I feel over the next couple of months. For now, this is super cute, and I feel like it's the perfect little podcast setup. So welcome back to another episode. I needed to just start out by saying that. And I really want to talk about something so important, especially if you are a woman that is rebuilding in her 30s or any other age for that matter, is the importance of taking that first step. So often as humans, we want to have the full picture before we decide to take any action. Unfortunately, that is not how this world works. You have to be willing to have the courage and be brave to take that one first really uncomfy step. Because what happens from there is you take that one step, the next step is revealed, you get downloads, sparks, hits, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the path forward. But you don't get that path forward until you are willing to take that first step. And as humans, we love certainty. We want to know that if we start that business, it's going to be successful. If we start dating that person, we're going to get married. We want to know that it's going to work out for us, right? Because it's that illusion of safety. But at the end of the day, this world and this life is uncertain. And if you can get super comfy and cozy with uncertainty and just knowing that what is truly meant for you will never pass you, and as long as you continue showing up every single day, taking aligned action towards that vision on your heart, you will be guided. Now, I don't know if you believe in God, universe, higher power. I actually just went to a Bible study this morning, and that's really what sparked this idea and conversation. The word God used to trigger me, and we'll do a whole separate episode on me now reconnecting to my faith. I'm not in an organized religion, but I do believe in God. And I want to deepen my faith and really connect on a deeper level with Him. And something that I recognized is that if we have something that we believe in, while we are taking the steps, while we are doing the uncomfortable action, while we're feeling the fear and doing it anyway, we will always be guided and provided for and taken care of. And I was thinking about my own journey, and I want to share a little bit more about this because when I first got sober, that first step of just deciding this no longer serves me, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to use drugs, I'm getting sober, that was the hardest freaking step that I've ever had to take. And I avoided it for many years. There was always this little voice in my head that said, drink in moderation, or you're not an alcoholic. But then there was another voice that said, Sophia, your life would be so much better off if you weren't partying, if you were nourishing your body, if you were going to the gym, if you were surrounded by people that actually celebrated and supported you. And I delayed taking that first step for so long because I was so terrified of losing my identity. I was so scared of no longer having friends, of no longer knowing what to do with my life because I had zero hobbies outside of drinking and partying. And one day, October 21st of 2023, I was at a music festival in Miami and I had this crazy out of body experience. I had taken about 10 shots of tequila, was absolutely belligerently wasted. And that was honestly a rare exception for me at that time. I really didn't get wasted like that very often because 6 months prior, I had done an ayahuasca ceremony and I stopped using substances. But this particular night, I was level 10 and I ended up getting angry and didn't like who I became that night. And I remember losing my keys. I was messy. I was sloppy. And I remember this higher power, and I now believe it was God talking to me. And He said, Sophia, what are you doing? You have so much incredible potential within you. And if you continue living this lifestyle, even if you only drink on occasion, even if you only go to festivals once every couple of months, you're not going to get to where you want to go, at least not right now, because you need to be able to cut out that one thing, your vice that is holding you back. You have to stop putting yourself in negative environments, toxic environments that are slowly killing you. And that night, I remember looking over at my friend and I said, this is the last night that I will drink. I'm going to be sober after this. And here we are over 2.5 years later. I am still sober. I have not drank alcohol. I guess I could say I'm California sober because occasionally I will smoke weed and I will do microdosing mushrooms. The point of this is when I took that first step into sobriety, then the next step revealed itself. But before I took that first step, all I wanted to know is, oh my gosh, is my life going to be okay if I get sober? Will I make friends? Will I start the business? Will I be successful? But I was never going to know that if I didn't get sober in the first place. So once I got sober, I got another download. Okay, it's time to start prioritizing moving your body. I signed up for Solid Core, one of the hardest freaking workouts still to this day. And I started doing Solid Core 3 times a week. Then I got confident. I started going 5 times a week. Then I got another download. Start going to events. Start putting yourself into spaces where you can meet aligned people with similar passions. So then I started doing that. Then I got a download. Start sharing this on social media. Did my first ever face-to-camera video for a business that I had a couple of years ago. Absolutely terrified, shaking, sweating, thinking that everyone in the world was going to judge me and I was going to die if I posted that video. Posted that face-to-camera video. That led me into what I do now, content creation, sharing, helping other people feel seen and less alone on their journey. A year into that, I had another download. Start a podcast, clear as day. Definitely God talking down to me. You need to start a podcast. And at that time, I was podcasting with a friend of mine. I never could have guessed that I would have ever been called to start my own podcast. I loved doing it with her. But I heard those words clear as day, Sophia, you need to start a podcast right now. So what did I do? I launched Her Journey Home within 3 weeks of getting that download. Then that led me to launching Unfiltered, which is my podcast and self-expression program. And now I help other women launch podcasts. But do you see what I'm getting at? If I hadn't just made that initial decision to get sober, I never would have ended up where I am right now having this conversation with you. And honestly, I had a completely different path laid out in my mind. I thought, okay, I'm going to get sober. I'm going to do sober coaching. I'm going to build $1 million brand. I'm going to do all these things and I'll be happy. And I was so attached to that outcome, that end goal. And for the first 1.5 years of the journey, it was really difficult because I was trying to control so much. So that's another added layer into this conversation is that surrender piece. You have a vision, you care about what you're doing, but you're open to allowing God, source, universe to guide you in the right direction. And that might mean taking some unaligned steps first to then get to that aligned path that you were meant to be on. So for the first 1.5 years of my business, I wasn't signing clients. I wasn't confident or convicted in what I was sharing. I was comparing myself to every other coach on the internet. I almost filed for bankruptcy because I didn't trust myself or use my discernment when I was making investments. But every single one of those steps led me to exactly this place right now, having this conversation with you. So the point of me sharing this is that you have to be willing to take that very first step, which is always going to be the hardest step. Think about it this way. This is something new. You are stepping into new territory when you decide to take that first step. When you were a little girl and you learned to ride a bike, the very first step was getting those training wheels and putting them on the bike. And then once you did that, it was riding the bike, falling down, getting scrapes, cut up, smashing your elbows into the pavement. But you kept going. And you kept seeing the next step. Okay, now it's time to take the training wheels off. Now it's time to just ride the freaking bike. Try out different paths, go on different rides, see different trails, whatever it is for you. This journey is going to be the same thing. You're not going to be given a beautifully, perfectly curated 10-step plan that's going to tell you, okay, here's the next 10 aligned steps. Go do them now, and then you're going to find success. I wish it worked that way, right? Because we would all be so successful. There's a reason why many, many, many people don't even start the thing that they've been saying they want to start. There's a reason why so many people get to 80 years old and have regrets on how they lived their life. I really want you to hear this because you have to just have the courage to take that first step. There will be resistance and there will be fear, and it is going to be uncomfortable because you have never done it before. But reconnect with that little girl inside of you that always started new things, that tried new hobbies, that made new friends, that did things because she believed it was going to work for her. Then we started learning what fear was, and we started to be conditioned by our environments, our family, our society. Then all of a sudden, it's like, holy shit, if I take this one first step, what if someone judges me? What if I'm rejected? What if people make fun of me? What if it doesn't work out? Fear of failure. But once you take that first step, you will be guided towards the next step. You also have to understand that there are no set amount of steps that it could be. It could be 3 steps until you build that successful business. It could be 2,000 steps. I can't even tell you the amount of steps I've had to take over the last 2 years just to get to where I am now. And I am just starting out. There have been countless steps, countless roadblocks, countless twists and turns and challenges and amazing days. But that is all part of the journey. I want to give you another example to really allow this to land so you can feel this in your body. I moved to Austin about a month ago now. I'm in my beautiful apartment, and I have had an idea to do an in-person podcasting networking event once I found a place that I was going to call home, because I want to make it something consistent, do it on a monthly basis, and get podcasters together so that they can meet other hosts, guests that can share their story on their podcast, and create a place for podcasters to get to know one another. There's nothing like that here, which is crazy because there's so many podcasters in Austin. And this past month I got here and it was very much on my mind. Okay, I need to find a venue. I need to get this out into the world. I need to start promoting it. There was that little voice in me that was like, who are you to do this? You've only been podcasting for 2 years now. You're not a top 5% podcaster. Who would want to come to your event? All the voices. And that was the voice in the past that would hold me back from taking that first step and having the courage to go first. The imposter syndrome, the who am I? But I don't let that dictate my decisions anymore. I feel the fear. I acknowledge it. I sit with little Sophia and I tell her, you're safe. You are worthy of taking up space. You are worthy of hosting this event. You are the embodiment of what you teach. Not only do you have your own podcast, you've helped countless women launch their own podcasts. Why would you not be the person to host this event? Something that I had to get really good at was looking at the opposite end of the spectrum, because it's all about perspective. You can either sit on this side of the fence and be like, well, I don't have this many downloads. I'm not a top 5% podcaster. I don't deserve this. There's people that are bigger than me. Or you can say, fuck that. I'm going to shift my perspective and listen to this voice. That's like, you've shown up consistently for almost 2 years. You have over 80 podcast episodes. You've helped now almost 8 women launch podcasts into the world and share their stories. You have conviction in what you offer the world. That is now the voice that I allowed to take up space in my mind. So if you hear yourself in this story and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I am my own worst critic. My mind is always getting loud. I'm always convincing myself out of things that I really want to do. How can you begin to shift your perspective and look at all of the positives, all of the things that you have achieved, all of the reasons why you can be that person to go first? Because it's all around perspective and giving yourself permission. I say this all the time, but if you keep waiting for permission, you'll be waiting the rest of your life, because you are the only person that is standing in your own way. I get so passionate about this, right? You can look for your friends' permission. You can look for society's permission. You can look for someone else to be like, okay, now is the good time. It's never going to come. You're the only person that can give yourself permission. So today, what I did, and this will be out in a couple of weeks, but it's almost mid-July already. I don't know where the heck the time has gone. But I said to myself, okay, I have this idea on my mind to host this podcasting network event. I've already made friends here in Austin. I already have friends that are podcasters that have shows. You just have to book the venue, choose the date, pick the time, and send it into the group chat. This has been keeping me up at night because I'm like, oh my gosh, Sophia, you have a really good freaking idea. You just need to say it. You just need to claim it. You need to own it. And then you got to take action and go do the thing. The first uncomfortable step. So what did I do today? I was in my group chat. We were all chatting about plans coming up in July. And I said, I'm ready. I'm going to do it. And I just said, hey guys, I'm planning on hosting this event at the end of July on this date from this time. I would love for you all to come. Boom. Sent it into the ether. As soon as I took that step, I had already had a call booked with a venue that I was interested in hosting at this really cute coffee shop downtown. Her name is Sophia, ironically. We get onto the call. It's the perfect venue. Within my budget, perfect location, has the date and time available that I want to host the event. Boom, booked the event. All of a sudden, the event is happening. It's real. It's coming to fruition. But if I wasn't willing to just make that one uncomfy step of announcing it and claiming it and saying, I'm doing this, making a decision, an anchored decision, I wouldn't have done all the next things. I don't know exactly how this event is going to go. It's my first one ever doing this as a podcast host. But I trust that once I start to promote the event, I'll get downloads. I'll know what to do next because I was willing to take that first step. So I really hope that this episode was a little fire under your booty. because you have been sitting on something for far too long. And maybe you're a perfectionist and you're listening to this and you're like, holy shit, she's speaking directly to my soul, because that was me. You feel like you need to have the perfect time, the perfect setup, the right amount of money in your bank accounts, more confidence, the perfect time before you put yourself out there, before you launch the podcast, before you write the book, before you post your first tasty camera video on social media. But all of that is simply an obstacle, and it's an excuse so that you don't have to do the uncomfortable thing, which is take the very first step. So if you notice right now in your life that you are always looking for a way to avoid taking the action, maybe it's investing into tons of mentorships. That was me. I was like, oh, one more certification and then I'll be ready. Maybe it's, oh, I got to have the perfect lighting or the perfect microphone and then I'll launch the podcast. I started with a $40 microphone on the floor of my apartment in Miami when I lived there. And then I upgraded. And then I started getting a nicer setup. And then I started doing all these things. Take that first uncomfortable step and the path ahead will begin to reveal itself. But if you are not willing to take that first courageous step, you will be exactly where you are a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. And I want to leave you with one question to really, really chew on, really sit on the rest of this week and weekend. If you were living the exact same reality that you are living right now, 1 year from today, would you be fulfilled? Would you genuinely be proud of yourself? And if the answer is anything other than hell yes, you need to start making a different decision. You need to take that first step, because this is what I see time and time again. People have these visions. They keep saying, okay, when I'm ready, when I have the time, when I have the confidence. A year later, they're like, oh, I should have just started when I had it originally on my heart. And a lot of times, if you're not willing to take that action, someone else is going to do it. How many times have you had a brilliant idea on your heart and you never took action, and 6 months later you're scrolling on social media and you see someone doing the exact thing that you wanted to do? You're like, shit, that was my idea. When you get an idea, take it, feel the fear, and start taking action. The universe does reward speed. That is a fact. So I really hope that this episode landed. This makes me so excited to sit down and have these conversations, because this is what I needed to hear a couple of years ago when I first got sober. Because I had no idea that my sobriety would end up leading into unlocking my voice, starting a podcast, helping other women with podcasts. I never in a million years could have ever planned out that path by myself. So the moral of the story and the ending of the episode: take that first step and the rest will reveal itself. Throw out needing to know all of the details, the how, the when, the timeline. You'll never have any of that. So either you muster up the courage, you take that first step, or you are in the exact same place that you are today a year from now. And to end the episode, if you have been leaning in and you've been wanting to start a podcast, it's been on the back burner for the last 6 months, year, maybe even longer, and you are ready to finally build so much confidence and conviction in your voice so that you can build a community of humans that love being in your world, and you want to make more money in your business, and you want to actually make the impact that you know you are here to make, I have 4 spaces available. I don't know how many I'll have by the time you hear this episode, but in July, I have 4 spaces open for Unfiltered, my 12-week self-expression and podcast mentorship. And it is unlike anything out there, because this is not just about launching a podcast out into the world. You can watch YouTube to do that. This is about becoming the woman that shows up every single week consistently, trusting her voice, allowing herself to be heard, connecting with the people that are searching and praying for someone like her to share her message. I blend EFT tapping and the emotional support for when the imposter syndrome comes up, or the who am I to do this, who's going to listen, with the structure and the strategy of a podcast. So yes, you will learn how to edit, you will learn how to publish, you will learn the social media strategy, and you will also learn the tools to navigate when any resistance comes up, when you have fear, doubt, worry, so that you can continue showing up every single week consistently. Because 99% of podcasters quit before 10 episodes. So if you want to claim one of those spots, I'm going to link below a call link to do a free 30-minute call with me. We can dive into your vision, but I would be so freaking honored to help you bring it to life. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please go ahead and share it with your community. Like, rate, subscribe. It helps me show up every single week to have these beautiful conversations. I love you all so freaking much, and I will see you for another episode next Thursday.